Hey everybody, I wanted to come to you all briefly today. The other day I did a video about black depression, and I talked about why it is that we're so drawn to toxicity. At the same time I was doing that video, I was not aware that this was going to be one of the most critical weekends of mass shootings and just a lot of drama going on in terms of the loss of life. I believe there was a shooting at El Paso, Texas, and another one in Dayton, Ohio, and then, of course, the report came out about the killing over the weekend in Chicago. Now, I'm sure there was many more incidents happening throughout the world, but in particular, these things happening here in this nation. And, I didn't realize that all of this was going to be going on at the same time, but now I see that it is completely relevant as to what I was saying, because even though I am technically really doing all that I can to avoid the controversies that are coming in on a daily stream, there's some controversies that you can't avoid because they're popping up on your phone. Even if you're not on social media, they're going into your email when you're checking your email about just random things, and then something will happen that lets you know that there was another mass shooting or there was another this or another that happened. And, what I said still stands. It stands even more so now, because what I'm hoping that we're going to begin to see is that a lot of these things that have been going on are orchestrated in this way for us to, quite frankly, lose our minds. I mean, I don't know how else I can say this without, coming off like I'm sounding really conspiratorial, but this is programming that is being used to keep us as a people utterly chaotic in our minds. My mother-in-law suffers from Alzheimer's dementia. And I could tell you one of the things that is the saddest thing to see is a person who once had a vibrant memory go into a place where they're almost in a vegetable-like state, where they can no longer remember basic things. They can't remember their birth. They can't remember the name of their children. They can't remember how old they are. And to see that is very, very heartbreaking, but I don't think we understand that that's exactly what is happening to us as a society. They said that there is a school to prison pipeline, but now because of the lack of nutrients in the food, because of the continual violence that we're ingesting in, there's not a school to prison pipeline only. Now there's a school to nursing home pipeline. And many of our people at a young age are getting Alzheimer's dementia in their 50s. My mother-in-law was a early onset dementia patient. And this is happening because of an overwhelm of negative streams in our life. And we're all facing them. We're all dealing with the actual day-to-day frustrations that we're going through, but then when we're bombarded by the media telling us about one carnage after another, then it's working on our minds, and we have to be very protective of our minds. I'm telling you all this personally, that my family and I just came out of 5 years of very intense time of persecution, of heaviness on our minds, and we had to pray a lot of this through. But it's important for you to understand that we're not supposed to stay here. There is something called furlough. When you are a soldier and you go out to battle, you do need to be brought back in so that you can furlough and you can get your mind right. Why? Because there's something called PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And in our community, we have what is called post-traumatic slave disorder. This was a book that was written by a doctor, I can't remember, I think her name is Joy, Dr. Joy, and she was writing about the fact that we as a people over the past 400 years have been facing one trauma after the other trauma after the other trauma. And guys, it's not going to stop. These traumas are going to continue to happen, as these are a sign of the times. But I have to give you the balance. I have to give you the balanced perspective, because at the same time that we're understanding that these things are going to occur, we also have to understand understand that we have to protect ourselves and protect our minds, because the goal of the enemy is to keep us in a place of stupor. He wants to keep us drunk with all of the violence and all of the malicious behavior and all of the problems that we're dealing with internally as well as externally or domestically in this nation. But we have a purpose that we're going towards. We have a calling that is much greater than ourselves. This is something that the Most High Yah is doing to unify our people. As the dry bones are waking up, the earth is shaking, and it's anticipating his return. So we have to be as Nehemiah, and we have to begin to build the walls of our home. We have the sword in one hand, and we have a brick in the other. We're not ignorant to the devil's devices, but we understand that we cannot continue to just ingest all the negativity, because what it does is put in so much toxicity that we can't be clear to see the direction that we're supposed to be going, which way we're supposed to be building that wall. And we have to build that wall in our family. We have to build it for our future, because this we're passing through. I don't see how people can't understand where we are in today's time. We are literally in a crisis mode. Remember that our ancestors, as they were escaping Egypt, they were going through the Red Sea with Yah in front of them and Pharaoh's army behind them. Now, they could have been really, really focused on Pharaoh's army, and they could have been slaughtered. Or they could keep their eyes ahead to where the redemption was and get through that in faith. And that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to keep our eyes ahead. We have to, because there's too many people that are falling behind. And I'm going to do another video about this whole issue of what's happening with us in terms of the awakening and the false awakening that has been going on, and why it is that we have to guard our hearts. We have to guard our hearts. We have to guard our minds. We can't afford to lose our focus. So I want to bring this to you all today, because there's so much that's going on. And you know, there's a scripture that says, though 1,000 may fall on my right and 10,000 on my left, or I might be saying that backwards, that I will not be moved. And we have to say that. You're going to have to meditate on those Psalms, because those are the things that are going to get us through. We cannot allow ourselves to be moved by all the things that we see. We're going to have to gird ourselves up with truth. We're going to have to go out there, and we're going to have to be witnesses to our Hebrew brothers and sisters that are still sleeping, and we're going to have to protect our mental health. So I just want to come to y'all today as a second just warning and notice that these are the times that we're in, and we have to begin to make different decisions about our mental health. So I want to thank you so much for tuning in once again to Ashonda at Large. Definitely want to hear what you think about this message in the comment section, everything that's gone on this weekend, the loss of life, and what it is that y'all speaking to you directly about protecting your mental and spiritual health during this time. Well, like, share, comment, and as always, I say love yourself without hating your enemies. And until next time, Yah bless and shalom.